there's a lot of trends online when it comes down to training modalities or training styles or training methods. And, some of these methods work, some of these methods don't work, but some of these methods get popularized and people start posting about them or they start creating content about them, not because they actually use these modalities and they use these training methods, but because they think this training method in the title of their video is actually going to get them clicks and views. And one of the training methods that I've been seeing that's been popularized of late has been this 2-set method. Now, am I saying the 2-set method doesn't work? No, I'm not saying the 2-set method doesn't work. I'm just saying that the 2-set method probably isn't for everybody. And I don't think it's for everybody. It's not probably, it just is not for everybody. It's not for me. And it also is not for people who are just now starting their journey when it comes down to strength training, especially calisthenics strength training, because 2 sets just isn't enough. When you're trying to learn the basics, you want to hammer home those basics. When you're trying to learn certain skills in calisthenics, you want to get as many attempts at those skills, or you want to get as many sets and as much practice in those skills as possible. For instance, if you're trying to learn how to do a handstand, doing 2 sets of handstand attempts when you can't do a handstand is not going to cut it. You're going to need to kick up to a handstand, fall down, get up, try again. Kick up, fall down, try again. Kick up, fall down, try again. Now, I'm not saying it's that easy to learn a handstand, but you get what I'm saying. To learn a skill, it takes practice, and only doing 2 sets of those skills is not going to be enough practice to get good at something. Now, for instance, if I want to, kind of equate this to my own personal calisthenics journey, one of the movements I'm working towards right now is a reverse muscle up. Now, in order to do a reverse muscle up, you have to be able to do handstand push-ups on gymnastics rings. And for me, just being able to do a handstand on the gymnastics rings was something that took me a month, maybe even 2 months. And it took me a lot of trial and error. It took me playing around with different training techniques. And it took a lot of sets every single time I went out to go work on that handstand and that handstand push-up on the gymnastics rings. Now, even now, I would not only do, even though I've kind of mastered that handstand push-ups on the gymnastics rings, I wouldn't only do 2 sets in a day. I still want to get at least 4 to 5 sets in. I want to get as much practice as possible, and I want to play around with my range of motion, and I want to play around with different types of reps while I'm trying to master that skill and unlock that reverse muscle up. And for those of you who might be trying to do muscle ups, you're going to need to do more than 2 sets and 2 working sets to unlock that movement. It takes volume and it takes practice to get good at things, and more than likely 2 sets is not going to be enough. Now, the 2-set method is not the only training method that influencers have tried to push. There's, people who will tell you all you need to do is work out 45 minutes in a week, or they'll tell you this, or they'll tell you that. But the truth be told, you need to find what works for you, what works for your lifestyle, and what works for your goals. Because at the end of the day, we all are dealt a different hand when it comes down to our body type, when it comes down to our capabilities. For instance, if you're doing calisthenics and you're my size, I'm 6 feet tall and I'm 200 pounds. It's going to take me a little bit more practice to progress at certain skills or certain movements than it would take somebody who's 5'6", 140 pounds. They're just naturally capable of doing things because of their leverage and because of their size and because of their weight. And, that's fine, but it's just going to take me a little bit more work. So they might be able to get away with doing 30 to 45 minutes of work per day. I might have to do an hour to hour and 15 minutes per day to get to the level to be at the same level as them. Now, another thing is you can take into consideration your age. You can take into consideration your lifestyle. You might be a man who has a family that works a full-time job. You might not have X amount of time or X amount of days per week to work out. So you have to figure out how to make that work with your schedule. So I'd say this training thing is an individualized journey, and you need to find the path that works for you. At the end of the day, this is all about knowledge of self. So you're discovering things about yourself and you're discovering what works for for you and your body, and figuring out how to develop that mind body, that mind muscle connection, and what is the best route for you to progress in the goals that you have set out for yourself. You do not train like an influencer. Train like an athlete, train like a man that's on a mission. And for those women out there who are, watching this video, train like a woman that's on a mission, because it's better to go deep than go wide. Influencers train with a wide variety of things. Focused people train deep. Anyways, hope everybody's doing good out there. I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.